Yeah.
Nice.
Hey guys, it's me, Mightymax Boxing, and I have a very special guest here. I have Two-Tone, the superstar with me. Introduce yourself, brother.
I was had the man, it's your boy, Two-Tone the Superstar, out of Phoenix, Arizona. Talk some boxing, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Really excited to talk with you. We have a lot to talk about, man. Want to actually just briefly start off with the fight that we had last weekend. It was a really great fight between Artur Beterbiev and Anthony Yarde. What was your final assessment on that fight, and what's your thoughts on one of the best fights in boxing between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol?
Final assessment, man. Did not think Yard was gonna cook like that, to be honest with you. Did not expect that at all. I know they got the saying up there called "Lions only in the camp." I thought that was cap. I was completely hating on Yard, to be honest with you. I thought Better BF was just going to steamroll this guy, but it turned out to be, as of right now, fight of the year candidate. It made me look at Better BF as a monster. He's never out of position. I say that respectfully. But I do think Dmitry Bivol might box his face off, man.
Mhm.
He might box that face off.
Yeah, man. He definitely showed a lot of flaws, and before the fight, I was picking Better be able to stop him late. But honestly, after that performance, he showed a lot of flaws. His balance wasn't the best. His defense was poor. He was getting hit by the jab. The movement was giving issues. I might be switching my pick to Bivol as well, man, because honestly, that was definitely not the best Better be of his look, the strongest he looked. And I do credit Yard. He
Right.
definitely came to win. He definitely had one of his better outings. However, it was a much tougher fight for Better be than we all expected. You know, he definitely got hit more than we thought he would. Yard offensively had a lot more success than we thought he would. But Better be dug deep. He overcame the storm and got the stoppage. You think this fight has a strong chance of winning Fight of the Year by the time it's all said and done, or do you at least think it will be a candidate?
Oh, this is definitely a candidate for fight of the year. Most definitely a candidate. The thing about Better BF is that he's never going to cheat the fans of boxing. He gets bloody, he gets hit. So his face looked like it was a massacre afterwards because Yard was touching him. And I did catch a lot of flack on this on social media. I did not agree with the stoppage. I felt like his corner should have let Yard go out on his shield. That's what I felt.
I respect that. I respect that. I when they stopped the fight, I was kind of like, hold on already. Like I thought they would let it go a little longer too. So I see where you're coming from. Not many people have been talking about that. And to be fair, we've had a lot of relatively poor stoppages in the last 12 months, and I wouldn't say this is one of the worst stoppages we've gotten, but I could see why you would have liked to see the fight last a little bit longer. Now, what do you think about the chance of Artur Beterbiev fighting Callum Smith instead of Dmitry Bivol next due to the WBC?
I hate it, man. I hate it because I just read a report that the WBC still has a ban on Russian fighters, I guess.
Yeah.
And that Better BF would have to file some sort of a exception. This is just the disgusting and the musty energy part of boxing. They know we want undisputed. We want Bivol, Better BF, undisputed, and that would cement because I thought Dmitry Bivol won Fighter of the Year last year,
Me
2022.
too.
And if he say he beats Better BF for undisputed, then goes down to 168 and beats Canelo at 168 for all the belts, that's double. That's back-to-back Fighter of the Year to me.
Exactly, exactly. If he's able to defeat Beterbiev, man, that's arguably pound for pound number one. That would be an absolutely incredible victory, and it's set to be a very good fight if it happens as well. There's a good chance that he's going to fight Joshua Buatsi, and that's unfortunate, man. Him fighting Buatsi and Beterbiev fighting Callum Smith. It's a shame. Now, speaking about pound for pound, what's your? I always ask my guests this. What's your pound for pound list roughly? Top three, top five pound for pound list.
Oh, I've never gave it a top three before, or I've never even thought about doing it because I wanted to be meticulous with it.
Hmm.
Damn, who's my number one fighter? Damn, pound for pound, man. I mean, I like in a way, but to me, like a personal pound for pound, number one, I still got Canelo Saul Alvarez up there. Would he to me? I got Devin the Dream Haney, Shakur Stevenson, um, Terrence Bud Crawford, of course, Errol the True Spence, um, Bivol. Damn, who else is just the nicest out there?
You have Usyk on there.
Usyk, yeah, I do. I do have Usyk's mean Tyson Fury. Damn, that might be 10 right there. I just don't know. I just don't know how to rank them. Then, um,
I feel you.
Gervonta Davis definitely not on my list though. Just to put that.
Oh, exactly. That's what I was gonna get. That's what I was gonna bring up again because I know you get a lot of flack for your stance on Ryan and Tank and all that. So I want to bring up. You have Ryan in that fight or no? Or are you keeping that secret?
Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Tank Davis.
Yeah.
100%. I have Ryan Garcia.
Can you give me and can you give the people watching a quick little breakdown of how you think that fight would play out?
Man, how it's gonna play out? Here's my thing. Ryan Garcia has all the physical tools over Gervonta Tank Davis. Taller, bigger, could say it's about even as far as strength, power wise, quicker. 24 years old, has the age, winning in age. I just think that Gervonta Tank Davis, Hector Garcia had a lot of success against Gervonta. Mario Barrios had a lot of success against Gervonta. I just think that Ryan Garcia is a matchup nightmare for Gervonta Tank Davis because Gervonta is going to have to get inside. And Ryan Garcia will knocks most of his people out trying to get inside. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a matchup nightmare to me.
Interesting. Do you see it being a mid-round KO, a late-round KO? Do you think it might go the full 12?
I've always said 7. I've always said 7. Ryan Garcia in 7. But most likely, when you have two fighters of that magnitude on that type of level, both in their prime, I could see Ryan Garcia winning by decision. I could see Ryan Garcia using his length, his speed, giving Gervonta problems. He's never faced nobody that fast before. I could see Ryan winning by decision, but knowing Ryan Garcia, Ryan's going to get him up out of there early.
Interesting, man. That's definitely an interesting pick. It's a fight I've thought about a bit too, and I've always favored Tank in the fight. I kind of want Ryan because Tank is just, you know, he's a little bit of a distasteful fighter for me, but I still favor Tank.
Why would you favor Tank? I want to know, why do people favor
The
Tank?
reason I favor Tank is I just don't trust Ryan's chin, and I feel he keeps his chin in the air, and it'll take some rounds, but I feel that once Ryan goes on the back foot, once Tank starts to get in range, because I do believe eventually he'll start to get in there, he'll hit him with a hook, with an overhand or a hook that puts him down and out. That's what I think will happen, but there is a chance that Ryan can definitely beat him. The fight has definitely shifted for me. It was a fight at one point where I was very confident Tank would win, and as time has passed, it's narrowed for me. I could definitely see a way Ryan wins. But for me, I just feel that Tank's power and his aggressiveness, and I feel he has good physical strength and brute strength as well. Eventually, he'll be able to get to Ryan, eventually get him out in the mid to later rounds. But the big reason I just don't really trust Ryan Garcia's chin, man. And I know he's only been dropped by Luke Campbell, and he got up really quickly, but I really don't trust Ryan Garcia's chin once Tank hits his palm.
Tank is not. He's not like that Deontay Wilder where that first 2 rounds he hits you, you got it there, you gone. Tank kind of breaks you down. Will he be able to break Ryan Garcia down? That's the question. Will he be able to do that?
Interesting. It's definitely a question. It's definitely not going to be an easy fight for Tank if he does win. He's going to have to eat some fire early on. He's going to have to persevere and dig deep and get him out of it. I want to quickly ask you, since we're talking about Tank, can you tell the people watching why Tank is not on your pound for pound list? He's not on mine either, by the way. But can you give people your reasoning?
My reasoning is, and again, Ryan Garcia is not on my pound for pound list. For everybody out there that's going to think that I'm a super Ryan Garcia fan, Ryan Garcia is my friend, and good friends. We keep it real with each other. And Ryan knows this as well. As far as Gervonta Tank Davis, He's been in the Mayweather protection program.
Yeah.
He's 28 years old. He fought Isak Pitbull Cruz, which I believe is severely overrated, and that makes sense now since he's ducks everybody. He he fought a weight drain Mario Barrios. Uh, who else? Hector Garcia, which is a 130 pounder. He fought a 126 pounder in Leo Santa Cruz. I just think Tank hasn't fought that level of competition. Ryan hasn't either, but Ryan is 24 years old fighting Tank. Tank was 28 years old fighting Rolly. There's levels.
True. Good points. Yeah, and even when you look at Tank's best win against Jose Pedraza, who was a champion at the time, I mean, he was very weight drained as well. It was a good win, right? We're not saying it wasn't a good win, but that wasn't the same Jose Pedraza that fought.
I didn't even know that. Was he weight drained?
He was very weight drained. He wanted to move up way before the Tank fight. The fact he even made weight for Tank, a lot of people in his inner circle found the miracle. I remember I was talking about that fight being potentially next a very long time ago, and people that knew Pedraza personally were saying there's no way he can make 126 again to fight Tank. There's no way. It's false. It's false. And then once it actually happened, they were in disbelief because he was cutting so much weight to actually make the fight. And when you saw him move up in his recent outings, not as much against Comey, but right against Lomachenko and against Zepeda and
right
in his recent outings, right, he looks a lot better, a lot healthier. And now he's at 140, which lets you know from 126 to 140, he was very weight drained. So
post that. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. That's good looking on that education. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Salute to G Funky. Yeah, man. A lot of people don't know it. They don't really bring it up too often. They always say, look what Tank did to Pedraza versus what Loma did to Pedraza. And I'm not saying Loma did a better job against Pedraza, but he also fought a better version of him, without doubt. And since we're bringing up Loma, I want to bring up another quick fight. What do you think about Vasyl Lomachenko versus Devin Haney? Who are you favoring? If you want to reveal that, if you want to keep it private, that's fine, because sometimes my guests want to wait a little bit before they publicly put out prediction. But who are you favoring, and what's your thoughts on it?
This is a 50-50 fight. I'm not drinking the Devin Haney fan Kool-Aid, respectfully, of how Lomachenko looked old against Jermaine Ortiz. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. Lomachenko is not George Kambosos Jr. He's not. I don't even know if you, by fighting George Kambosos Jr. twice, that prepares you for Vasily the Machine Lomachenko. And I say that respectfully. It's a 50-50 fight, and I do favor, by saying that, I do favor Devin Haney, but I think Devin Haney's going to have to give the best performance of his life to beat Lomachenko. Lomachenko's whole life is dedicated to becoming undisputed. That's what all his life is dedicated to. Like, that's a dangerous man, bro.
Oh, for sure. It's a very tough fight for Devin Haney, without doubt. A big reason why in my gut I'm favoring Haney, even though I am a big Loma guy, and I've been one of the people who's always truly respected Loma's ability, is obviously Devin's bigger. He's younger. He has a promotional backing. He has a political backing. I don't see Loma being able to dominate Haney. So if it's 7-5, right? If it's 7-5 Loma, they'd probably still give it to Haney. If it's 8-4 Loma, it might be a draw or something. Loma's going to have to do extra to get the win, in my opinion, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that. And I also want to mention, I actually disagree with you when it comes to Loma's last outing. I do think he looked a bit older, and I do think it was one of his more poor performances, which is a shame. However, Loma does fight to his competition to some extent, so I expect him to give a better outing and a better account of himself against Devin Haney than he did against Ortiz. But it's a great fight, and I really hope it happens, most definitely. I'm actually trying to sign in through my computer right now with my other through my computer. It's taking longer. That's why I'm kind of slightly preoccupied with what I was saying there. But yeah, it's gonna be a great fight for sure, and I think stylistically it'll actually be very entertaining, because I see Loma pressuring Devin. I see him trying to get him on the ropes, and I see Devin negating that and using his jab and using his length. It's a very interesting clash of styles, and let's hope it happens soon, because I don't know what the holdup is, but the fight should have happened already. Should have been announced already, I should say.
Yeah, it should have been announced. I think they're trying to get that the Middle East money, or I don't know, some other type of bread in regards to that. But do you think that it was just rust that Loma was in the war? Then he chose a tough fight like Jermaine Ortiz for his tune-up?
Maybe, right? It could have been rust for sure, but I honestly feel that It was a mixture of rust, and I just think it was maybe even a little bit of Loma underestimating Jermaine Ortiz.
Hmm.
He didn't expect Ortiz to be on the level that he was. So once he got in there and Ortiz started to let his hands go, and it was really quickly, you could tell caught Loma off guard more than anything. You could tell he wasn't really expecting that. And anyone that had Ortiz winning, I can't really see that. I disagree heavily. However, Ortiz made it a very tough fight for Loma, and in points of early on in the matchup, I even said on Twitter, Ortiz was beating Loma worse than Teofimo was in the early rounds. I mean, he was really lighting Loma up before he adjusted. People forget that, and I don't think Jermaine Ortiz is on the level of Devin Haney. I would pick Jermaine Ortiz to beat George Kambosos, but I would not expect him to give Devin Haney that good of a fight. Happy Javier says Tank, Ryan, Tio, even Shakur, all KO Kambosos. Oh, 100%. I don't see George beating any of those guys. William Zepeda kills him as well. Frank Martin beats him. Do you agree with me here?
George Kambosos?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. George Kambosos. I mean, he's cool. I think fighters are born to beat each other. Like I believe that Antonio Tarver will always beat Roy Jones, and I believe George Kambosos would always beat T.O. regardless. Like he's just born to beat him.
Interesting. It's an interesting perspective for sure.
I want to ask you this though: do you think, even though this is the last fight on Devin Haney's his deal with Top Rank, do you think that Bob Arum would let Devin Haney leave with all the belts?
That's a good question. That's not something I've necessarily thought about. I don't think Bob would want Devin to leave for sure. Say Devin beats Loma. I do believe Bob would do anything in his power to keep him, and there's a good chance Devin would stay. Can you elaborate a little bit? What do you mean would let him leave? Like, would you think? Are you saying he wouldn't pursue him? Like try his hardest to keep him, or he would actually go like sue Devin?
Nah, not sue him, because in my opinion, I ultimately think Bob wants Shakur Stevenson to be undisputed at 135.
100%.
Like Bob Arum and Top Rank, they're amazing at getting their next champion in their stable. They're amazing at it. So either Devin Haney, oh man, because I don't think Devin Haney's going to stay at 135, so it really probably wouldn't even matter. I think
True, yeah. But then at 140, right? Because I think Bob would want Shakur to be his guy at 135 and Devin to be his guy at 140, because Josh Taylor will eventually move up from 140 as well. So he'll lose the cash cow but gain a new one. So I still think he's not gonna want Devin to leave as well. So yeah, I see Bob doing whatever he can to keep Devin Haney in his promotion for sure.
Even at 140, you think he'll like give him like a 2-fight deal, 3-fight deal?
I believe he'd push for that because Bob controls 140, for being honest. I mean, the PBC has a couple guys, right? They have Subriel Matias, they have Gary Antoine Russell, but overall, Ramirez, Catterall, Taylor still, even though he's going to move up soon. A few other guys who I can't think of top of my head, Zepeda, right? They have a lot of guys still. So I see Bob definitely trying to keep Devin for sure. G Funky says the fight officially. I'm hearing Haney's asked $5 million could possibly kill the fight. I heard that the fight's not official yet. However, Bob said that they agreed to everything, but now apparently Haney wants more money. So apparently the fight's not official yet, which is a shame. But hopefully that fight gets set soon. But yeah, I'm hearing Haney mentioned Ramadan, he mentioned money, and he's mentioned a few other factors.
$5 million? Dang, what's I wonder what his previous purses were. If is $5 million his biggest purse? That's crazy.
I'm not even sure, honestly. That's interesting. I've never actually. He's probably made around that much. He's probably made 3-4. So I understand why he wants $5 million, but at the same time, I mean, it's not. If he gets 3.54, it's not really worth killing the fight because you're not going to get much more fighting anyone else at the moment. You're not fighting Ryan. You're not fighting Tank. Speaking of that, Javier says Haney gets KO'd by both Tank and Ryan. I don't think so. I used to pick Tank to beat Devin. I'm not sure if Tank would beat Devin right now. The way he looked against Hector, he looked very flawed defensively. He's getting touched up and outboxed early on. And I always picked Haney to beat Ryan personally. I just always favored him over Ryan. I still would personally.
I have no comment on Ryan and Haney. I'll wait for another time for that one. But Haney Tank, dang man, I don't know. Maybe there's a boxing savant in the chat, or I don't know, because Haney does this ducking thing after he shoots the jab, and I think Tank is going to knock him out with that uppercut. I don't know. It's
possible.
This ducking thing he does.
That's possible. I think if Devin fights him very cautiously, uses his uses his footwork, uses his jab, and fights him kind of way he fought George in the first fight, and fixes a little bit some of the holes in his game defensively. I see
Right.
him getting the decision versus Tank. However, Tank could change that fight because I don't trust Devin's chin either. I don't fully trust it. I mean, I don't think he has a bad chin, but we saw what Linares was able to do, right? We
Right.
saw that his chin could be cracked, and yes, Tank's a lot smaller, and I think his feet are a lot slower as well. But if he could catch Devin, he could change the fight for sure. I was going to mention something. We brought up Shakur Stevenson. What do you think is next for Shakur? I mean, apparently he's fighting that guy from Japan whose name slips my mind, who just beat Nakatani. But
Right.
after that, I wonder what they're going to do with Shakur Stevenson. What the next path is going to be? He's probably going to fight for one of the vacant belts.
Yeah, he's the boogeyman of 135. Shakur Stevenson is the boogeyman. The man had to beg for fights. I think Shakur, he is fighting that guy from Japan. I think that's going to be very easy work. I could see,
Mm-hmm.
I think we are going to see a Jermaine Ortiz and Shakur Stevenson fight here soon. But ultimately, I agree with you. He will get one of those belts because he's with Top Rank. He needs one of those straps. So,
Yeah.
him and Devin, I don't see him and Devin fighting at 135, possibly at 147 in the future, but not at 135.
Interesting for sure. G Funky says Haney likes to bend below his opponent's waist, which is illegal. Yeah, Devin does do that occasionally. It's not like an illegal trick where it's like, oh my gosh, he's so dirty for doing that. But it's a bit of a cheap, borderline veteran tactic. But if he does have a more strict ref, it'll be harder for him to get away with that, which could definitely slow down his speed, honestly. And against someone like Tank, if he's honestly though, him bending low against Tank might actually be his detriment if Tank
Yeah.
could time the uppercut.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't bend low. Actually, it wouldn't really benefit him in that fight. But that's a really good matchup, Haney versus Tank. A fight I've been thinking about for a very long time because it's kind of been on the cards for a bit since Tank has fought at 135 before, and I'm very interested. What do you think of Tank's performance against Hector Garcia? Since we've been briefly mentioning it, it was kind of recently. What do you think of his performance, and also what do you think of Hector quitting in the corner, if you consider it quitting, and what was your scorecard before the stoppage as well?
Hector Tank. I believe it was a competitive fight. It was a competitive fight. Up until the 8th round. I believe the stage was a little too big for Hector Garcia. I believe the lights, the celebrities. I believe Hector finally got in his rhythm in the beginning of that 8th round, where he kind of like touched Tank a little bit. Then we had the stoppage in the crowd, which was absolutely disgusting.
You know, it's funny. Tank was looking at the crowd for like 5-10 seconds before any fight broke out. Like he was just waiting for something to happen. Almost, it was almost like it was a pre-planned thing. Like Tank's looking there for like 5 seconds, and then 5 seconds later, a fight starts. I don't know, man. That was a little suspect in my opinion as well. That people don't mention.
It was musty, bro. It was musty energy. I've been to the Stub Hub, and there's mad fights in the crowd. The ref don't stop it. Brooklyn,
Yeah,
New York.
that was weird. And
Yeah,
Hector was lighting Tank up before that as well. I remember.
yes, cooking this man, and you give already Gervonta Tank Davis weighs more than him. He's a natural 135 pounder. Hector's 130. So you give Gervonta Tank Davis a rest in the middle of the round. And it was over. It was over. You can't give Gervonta Tank Davis a rest in the middle of the round. That was
Can't do
nasty.
that. Heck no. Yeah, that was definitely off. That there was definitely some stuff going on for sure.
Yeah. I think I had Tank winning by a round. Up until the stoppage, and I understand the safety of boxing, but I was disgusted because Bob Santos, Hector Garcia's coach and trainer, said that Hector Garcia, for the first 10 years of his life, he did not have shoes. He walked around with no shoes. Don't tell me the no shoe story, then go quit on the stool. Don't do that. Leave the no shoe story out of it. Respectfully. Don't tell me that, then you're just going to go ahead and quit. It was nasty. It was nasty to me. It was disgusting and nasty. I did not appreciate the stoppage. I believe he quit in the corner. Magically, he could see right afterwards. he just needed to relax, man. He just needed to relax. What the son of Jersey say? I'm
Can you hear
Dominican.
me now?
I hear you a little bit.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm trying to figure this out on my computer.
It's all good. Yeah, man. He quit. He quit on the stool. He was probably that night. He was probably in a DC club dancing and cooking. He made the most money that he made in his life, which is fire. But I just didn't like it. He quit on the stool. I ain't like that, man.
All right, is that better?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to set this up, man, because my phone is so much worse. All right. So, anyways, thank you very much for carrying while I was gone. I appreciate that. But yeah, man, I believe once the fight got difficult for Hector, the fight just here's the thing, man. You're in such a big stage, man. We don't know when Hector's ever gonna get another opportunity like that. Just keep pushing through, man. I mean, was his orbital broke? Did he have any big injury to his eye? Because I don't remember the aftermath.
No, like he said, I was like, you probably did. Tank probably did hit you, and you probably saw some lights. I guess that's probably common in boxing. But
Yeah,
bro, he was fine during the post press conference.
Yeah. How'd you have it scored before the stoppage? I had it even, actually.
Even I had Tank winning. I had Tank winning.
5-3, right? Like you had him slightly up.
Yeah, slightly. It wasn't like Tank was blowing this dude out. He wasn't like completely outclassed. He started to break him down, but Hector, just like you said, Hector had success in the beginning of that 8th round.
Yeah, he started sharp for sure. Javier is correct. He said he could have kept on fighting, but he panicked. He definitely panicked because you saw once he got hurt, you could see it by his body language. He was kind of like, "Oh gosh, what am I going to?"
Right.
He wasn't keeping his calm, and this may be to a much lower extent. But against Gutierrez in the later rounds, he was panicking a little bit because his gassing was starting to slow down. You can see it in his body language as well. He's a very talented fighter, but he's a guy. I don't think he's the most mentally resistant fighter. He's good, but once adversity really hit the fan, he had a lot more issues.
Yeah, and that's why I like Ryan Garcia to beat Tank, because I've seen Ryan Garcia in adversity. We've seen him dropped and get up.
Yeah, we did. That was a big shot by Luke Campbell as well. I mean, Luke's not a big puncher, but that was a big shot, and he got up, he kept fighting, and eventually got him out of there. So yeah, we've seen Ryan Garcia have to dig deep and push hard. And to be fair, we have seen Tank hurt. People don't talk about it. I feel he was hurt to the body against Barrios, and I feel like I think that was probably the only time I really remember him being hurt. But we've seen him have to kind of claw his way back into a fight where he wasn't necessarily losing on the cards, but it was a tough fight for him, and he started to dig deep and adjust to some extent. I mean, there's even against Isaac Cruz, some people actually had Isaac Cruz winning that fight. I didn't, but that was not an easy fight for Tank as well, and he was able to get the victory out of it. But you mentioned that you thought Isaac Cruz is overrated. I actually agree with you. What would you think if that Ryan Garcia versus Isaac Cruz fight actually ended up happening? Because there were strong rumors of it.
Tailor-made. Isaac Pitbull Cruz is tailor-made for Ryan Garcia. Somebody that's going to come forward like Ryan is. That's why Ryan want to fight him so bad, because Ryan Garcia knows I'm going to knock this guy out in 1 or 2 rounds. Tailor-made. Taylor.
Yeah, and it's funny. At the time, I actually thought Ryan was the reason the fight didn't happen. But seeing Isaac Cruz duck every single liable name that's been brought up, he was supposed to fight Shakur, right? That was something that's supposed to happen. There were a few other guys Isaac Cruz was in talks of fighting, and they fell through as well. I forgot who, but once it becomes a pattern, I start to realize that Isaac Cruz is probably the reason the fight didn't happen.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy Rudy Melendrez. Thanks for tuning in, bro. He says Pedraza or Barboza. That's a good fight coming up. Very under the radar. I'm picking Barboza, actually.
Yeah.
Who are you picking?
I got Barboza Jr. Pedraza. Love Pedraza. I saw him fight live. I seen him out here in Phoenix. He fought somebody live. I forgot his name.
Did he make him quit in the corner?
Yes.
That guy's name's been escaping me too. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm surprised he was the underdog in that fight. I knew he'd win that one, but he fought the young prospect who was undefeated. His name I can't remember, but I like Pedraza as well.
Yeah, I like Barboza Jr. for me.
Yeah, I think his work rate and his output and his youth will be a bit too much for him. Joey says, in Leo Santa Cruz, dropped Tank, Rolly had him intimidated, and Cruz already beat him. Yeah, that knockdown was kind of like 50-50 in the Leo fight. Did you think that was a knockdown? It was kind of like a trip, but he also landed. It was weird.
Yeah, his legs were tangled up, but Leo did land a punch. I would have called it a knockdown. The tank sexuals, they will deny that as a knockdown at all. They won't even remotely mention
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Rolly, he did stay away from Rolly's power. He was staying away from it.
yeah, true. And I like how people say, "Oh, he was just playing with his food against Rolly." No, he wasn't, bro. He wasn't. He was on the back foot. He wasn't throwing any punches. Playing with his food, he'd be taunting him. He'd be lighting him up. He'd be, putting his hands behind his back like he did against Fonseca. He was not playing with his food. Rolly actually made him look very weak before he was able to get him out of there. I mean, Jackson Marinez looked better against Rolly in the first 5 rounds of their fight. And when it comes to Leo dropping Tank, I want to say this 100%. If it was the other way around, and Cruz had his legs tangled and Tank landed some short shots while it happened, we know 100% it would have been ruled a knockdown. The commentators would have went crazy. It would have been a massive deal. But the other way around, oh no, it was a trip. It was a trip. You see how it is, man. You see.
Right. That's true though. That's dang. If that would have happened to Leo, the Tank sexuals would have been on Leo's head. Like,
knockdown. Sunday Drew says, I don't know, man. I mean, it's hard to knock Pitbull Cruz out. Tank couldn't get him out of there. Here's the thing. I wouldn't have picked Ryan to knock Cruz out. I would have picked him on points. Were you picking Ryan by knockout? I don't remember.
I got Ryan knocking out Pitbull.
The reason he might be able to knock people out, though, the difference is because I feel he would be able to – he wouldn't fight him on the inside the way Tank did. And Tank really wasn't having the best success offensively. He wasn't really hitting him with any bombs. If Ryan uses the jab and keeps him out of bay and really lets his punches flow, he might actually be able to knock Pitbull out. I wouldn't pick him to, but I could see why you'd favor him to stop Pitbull. Definitely not in the early, either really early on or really late. I don't see him. He either catches him cold early or he wears him out to a later stoppage, 9 or 10.
Right.
Joey says he saw Cruz will walk into Ryan's big left hooks will be nasty meeting. Man, interesting. That's possible. Because he plods forward, right? He plods forward, comes in straight lines, and that would be target practice for Ryan for sure. Because he has so many more length.
Yeah, that's tailor-made for Ryan.
He has a lot more length.
Yeah. And people gotta understand Ryan's a big kid, man. 6 foot. Yeah. They don't understand how big 6 foot
how weight class is.
Yeah, I do find it disgusting that Tank did fight Mario Barrios at 140, but he's making Ryan fight at 136.
Yeah, like come on, man. 136. That's so stupid, bro. There's no title on the line, so just have it at 140. There's no belt on the line.
Right. That's true. Like
and
fight him.
I respect Ryan in the way where he's the only one that's really been pushing for this fight as well. I mean, if the fight happens or not, at least Ryan has been, at least on social media, at least attempting to make it happen. At least he's been calling Tank out and doing something. Tank Davis seems more content on fighting C-level fighters and winning fake secondary and third-area type titles.
Right, the Reggie belts.
Exactly. Shakur Pitbull, Shakur would school Pitbull. He would beat him 10 rounds to 2, maybe 11 rounds to 2.
Yeah,
that would be a wide win for Shakur. Much wider than the Valdez one, arguably, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah. UD, unanimous.
That has UD written all over it. There's no way any other outcome happens. I don't see him stopping Cruz, but there's no way Cruz wins either.
What do you think of I mean, if Devin Haney can make his body get down to 135 after the Loma fight, let's say that Haney's successful, Shakur Haney.
That's a great fight, and I've thought about it for a while, and I don't know if you've seen the sparring footage on YouTube, have you?
No, they got sparring footage against each other?
They do. Oh, they were younger. I think Shakur they were both like 19 or something, but really good footage. I'd recommend watching it. Very evenly matched. I know it doesn't really mean much, but it's still cool because a lot of people don't know about it. If they fought right now, I'm edging Shakur. I'm edging out Shakur to beat that. I think it'd be a close fight. It would be a very awkward fight, but it'd also be pretty entertaining because they're both very prideful fighters. They both want to be the best, and there's going to be some animosity. They say they're friends and all that, but if the fight actually happens, there is going to be animosity 100%. And my guts tell me Shakur edges Devin Haney out, especially at 135 if Haney's having issues cutting weight. It'd be a close decision, but it'd be a deserved decision. It wouldn't be like a 7-5 by barely. It wouldn't be like a 9-3. It'd probably be like an 8-4 for me.
8-4?
Yeah, 8-4, maybe 7-5. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I got Shakur too, man. I got Shakur is just different. He's big. He doesn't get hit. IQ crazy. I do want to see him against stiff competition, though. I want him to fight, even though I believe Isak Pitbull Cruz is overrated. I do want him to fight somebody like that that's going to showcase all of his talents.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see him put on a showcase against Pitbull Cruz because
Yeah.
that fight would really see with Shakur his fundamentals. We'd really see him go to work when it comes to using the jab, fighting on the back foot. That'd be very interesting, and I would love to see it, and I'd love to see him get some tests at 135. What's the Japanese guy's name? He always escapes me. I know he's a decent fighter. He beat Nakatani, but
yeah, Kilo or somebody. He's ranked. I believe he's ranked pretty high.
yeah, he is. He is. But Shakur would definitely beat him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Joey says, I can't see Lomachenko getting through Haney Shakur back-to-back, top rank, ready to cash them out. They'll do him like how they did Pacquiao, Bob Arum. All right, that's for them. But yeah, I don't see him beating both in general, let alone beating them back-to-back. And people forget, man, they did sell Loma out because in that Teofimo fight, no matter how you scored it, that was not 11 rounds to 1, man. Not even, there's no way that was 11 rounds to 1. They were prepared, if they were prepared to fully on rob Vasyl Lomachenko if he did deserve that victory. And against Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, first of all, I don't even see him winning 7-8 rounds in those fights. And if he does, I still don't think it'd be enough for decision. I don't think they have enough invested in Loma. If it's a close fight, it's going to Shakur, it's going to Devin.
You think so?
I think so 100%, especially Shakur. Top Rank has been heavily investing in Shakur since his professional debut, heavily pushing him.
Right.
He's probably the main fighter, not named like Tyson Fury, that they've been pushing in recent years.
Right.
Devin, I'm not as confident that they'd give it to him. However, I still believe if it's a close fight, they'll narrowly give it to Devin. Man, you got to remember, man, what happened to Teofimo Lopez fight. No matter how you scored that fight, that was not 11 rounds to 1. No way.
Not at all.
No way. And the funniest thing is how, and you gotta love Teofimo Sr., one of the biggest characters in boxing, saying that the only judge that got it right was a judge who had 11 rounds to 1. That was hilarious. That was funny. And speaking of Teofimo, because he's kind of the dark horse of the young guys. At one point he was the man, and now he's become the dark horse. What do you think of his fight against Sandor Martin? Do you think he won? And what do you think's next for him?
He got dropped. He got dropped twice.
Yep, 100%.
Got dropped twice. He definitely lost that fight. He lost to Sandor Martin. He got saved. He got a gift, and he is ducking Regis Prograis. That is disgusting. Why T.O.? T.O.'s not supposed to be the ducking guy.
Did something happen with the Prograis fight? Because I just heard that he was mandated. I didn't hear any like Teofimo declining or asking for more money. Did you hear anything?
Yes, they with T.O. his dad T Diddy. He said that 35% is not worth it to fight Regis Prograis.
So another one, right?
Right. But like you're only going to get that 35% if you go to purse. They can negotiate the fight without it going to purse bid like right now. So this is a blatant duck. Like you're not going to get more money fighting Catterall right now. You're not going to like there's a strap on the line. Go get the belt.
Yeah, and the thing is, man, Teofimo Lopez is at a crossroads in his career. And I also want to mention, I actually had him edging Martin by 1 point, right? But there were 2 knockdowns in that fight, not 1. So it would have been a draw on my card. The fact that the ref only counted one of them as knockdowns is criminal, and the scores were very wide as well. And I was picking him to beat Martin. I knew it'd be a tougher fight than he was getting credited for, but the fact that he had so much issues with Sandor Martin is a very bad look for sure. And people don't mention he did not look that good against Pedro Campa as well.
He did.
He was getting pushed back. He was getting worked on the ropes. People don't talk about that. They don't talk about how poor he looked against Campa, and he would definitely lose to Regis Prograis right now. It's a shame that fight's not happening because it does happen, and he beats Prograis. Say he knocks Prograis out, which we know wouldn't happen, but if he did, his career is way back on track. Imagine he knocks Regis Prograis out.
See, Max, I actually, and I'm not in a minority of this. I actually have T.O. beating Regis Prograis.
You haven't beating him by points or by KO?
I got him knocking him out. I think Regis is too slow for T.O.
So if you're picking him to beat Prograis, if you say if you even think he has that good of a chance, he needs to take that fight, man. What else is he gonna do? What else is he gonna do? What are his other options right now?
You remember when they had the hidden camera in the ring after the Sandor fight, and T.O. said, "Do I still got it?" His confidence is musty. It's over.
Yeah, and I like how he says, "Oh, that was just a trick to gather opponents." No, bro, because you didn't know that hidden camera was there. Come on, you knew that hidden camera was there. I mean, if you wanted to trick opponents, you just said that to the microphone. You're saying that to yourself. No, it was a chess move. It was a George Kambosos. The gladiator Spartan mentality.
Right. I I know he's going through personal problems. I don't want to speak on those, but I don't think like T.O. looks so human at 140. Do you think
Yeah.
the rest of 135 is going to start looking human as they go up in weight?
So you're talking about the young guys, right? Like Tank, Devin.
Evan,
I
Ryan,
think so. I think so because 140 has real wolves, especially if Josh Taylor stays. But Regis is a real dog, man. And 140 has a lot more talent than 135. The reason 135 is so talked about is because they have all the bigger names. But I feel the quality of opposition at 140 is very underestimated. And
Mm.
I actually think Jack Catterall is one of the weaker guys. I feel that was a fluke in my opinion. I see Taylor stopping him in the rematch, but Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor, these guys are elite. Jose Ramirez, and yes, he viciously ducked Prograis. That was embarrassing. The fact that he ducked Prograis and then now he's fighting Richard Comey. Horrible look from him, but he's a really good fighter, man.
right.
Stylistically, he would give Teofimo Lopez a lot of issues. Yes, his style's somewhat tailor-made for Lopez because he'd get countered a lot, but at the same time, Teofimo does not do the best when he gets pushed back. So he would give him a lot of issues as well. And I think a lot of these guys would look more human soon. Shout out to my boy Black and Brown Boxing. We'd love to do a collab with you down the line as well, brother. We've mentioned it in the past. Let's try setting it up soon. I think a lot of these guys will look more human very soon. And we've even been seeing little spurts of it because Tank has looked a lot more human in recent fights as well.
Yes, yes.
He's been giving up rounds against everyone. How are you getting outboxed by Rolly Romero? That's the last thing that should be happening, bro. He was down on the cards against Rolly Romero.
Right. But the tank sexuals are going to say that he was downloading data.
Downloading data, yeah,
No,
figuring him out. Getting pushed back, outworked, and not throwing punches was his way of downloading data.
no, that's nasty.
Is that true? Does Bud actually have a multi-fight deal with Golden Boy now? I've been at it. I actually just got up from a nap like 2 hours ago. Like I was taking a nap at 4:30 because I wake up really early for school, unfortunately, right? And I told my mom because she was in the room. I'm like, it was 4:30. I'm like, wake me up at 6.
Uh-huh.
And she wakes me up like 5:55, and I'm like, and I completely, when you're so deep asleep, you tune it out completely. Like you don't.
Yeah,
even
you
know
just tuned out. You don't hear nothing at all.
And then I'm just like, wait, hold on. I check my phone 6:05. Like, oh gosh, I gotta go now. Like I gotta heat up. But so I don't know what's happened the last couple hours. Did I miss something? Or
Well,
that's
this weekend, Oscar De La Hoya, once he takes a picture with you, you are signed to Golden Boy. So he took a picture with Terrence Bud Crawford during the Rocha fight. They said that they're trying to make Rocha then possibly give Terrence Bud Crawford Virgil Ortiz Jr. in Texas. I like it. I like it because as we know, Black African American next to fighting Mexicans is a boxing blueprint.
Yeah.
I made a video of this. I said this possibly would put Terrence Crawford possibly towards the A side of Earl the True Spence. Possibly.
Because beating Virgil Ortiz, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what lies they tell you. Beating Virgil Ortiz is a million times more impressive than beating Keith Thurman. Keith, one time I was an elite fighter, Thurman, bro. I mean, I like Keith Thurman.
At 154.
Yeah, that's so dumb, bro. Just have it at 147 or fight someone else, man. You know how many elite prospects and contenders there are at 147? I would rather Spence fight Ratsa Butayev than fight Keith Thurman.
Right.
You remember about Butayev against Daniels. That would be a fun fight, He would deserve it more than Keith would. And I made a tweet that people found so outlandish where I said that David Avanesian's done more in the past 3 years than Keith Thurman. Let's see what Keith Thurman did in the past 3 years. Beat Mario Barrios. That's it. Beating Josh Kelly, beating like 3 other okay names is more impressive than just beating Mario Barrios. Keep in mind, Mario Barrios got stopped by a little tank moving up in weight. Keith couldn't even drop him, bro. I mean,
and Mario Barrios was weight drained that fight. I just don't know what Mario Barrios' weight is. It seemed like they just jump him. Like, okay, like
he's like a test dummy for the PBC, man.
Yes,
they don't care about his health ratings. Oh, Keith Thurman's come back, we'll give him Barrios. So Tank wants another regular belt, let's give him Barrios.
Right. And Keith Thurman, I love Keith Thurman.
Me too. I like Keith as well.
He can sell a fight. He's marketable, but he's not. His inactivity. Like, I don't want to see a 154-pound Keith Thurman and Earl the True Spence fight for no belts at 154. That's musty and nasty.
Yeah, me either. And you know how they are, right? One Spence fights at 154 once, and he fights Crawford at 147, and Crawford inevitably beats him. He was drained. He was coming down from 154.
Right.
car
Ooh.
crash, the eye injury. And I've been telling people this, man. The excuses, they're giving themselves more time to create more excuses, and also
Yeah.
giving themselves more time for Crawford to get older and maybe get some of his flaws exposed in some of his fights. And you can make a case Alexis Rocha is also a better fighter than Keith Thurman. And I made a post a while back saying that what win is more respected from Floyd Mayweather? I know this sounds like it doesn't make sense, but it'll make sense in a second. The Canelo Alvarez win or the Manny Pacquiao win? I don't remember the exact numbers, but a lot of people said Canelo, right? That's like if Crawford beats Virgil now instead of fighting Errol Spence. That Virgil win will age incredibly in a few years. It 100% will.
Dang, that's true. That's
He'll
true.
have that Virgil, and Virgil will bounce back, beat all these guys at 47, become a champ at 54, so on. And people will be like, hold on. Bud Crawford beat this guy a couple years ago, man. Only guy that beat this guy was Bud Crawford.
That's true. Kind of like Liam Smith, right? He just beat Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah, yeah.
And they told Canelo that Liam Smith was like a cherry pick. Now Liam Smith over there cooking people.
Exactly, and Munguia as well, and I mean, I thought Liam Smith got robbed against Kurbanov personally. I don't know if you saw that fight. It was in Russia. Not many people saw it. I thought that was a robbery. Did you see that matchup or no?
No, I didn't see that.
It was a good fight. It was a good fight, but there's no way Kurbanov won. I had it 9-3 Liam, so I don't even count that. People, say what you want about Munguia, but that's you gotta give him credit. He really beat Liam Smith as well. Like he deserved that victory, and he fought a more experienced Liam Smith as well than Canelo did. Hold on, give me one moment. Let me see some of the chat because I haven't been reading it. Thurman won one fight in 4 years coming up. Yeah, I just got to screenshot that, man. Just look at that comment, man. That's
real.
So simple, but so effective in what Thurman's done lately. And I like Keith Thurman, bro. I like him, but he is even more tailor-made for Spence than Isaac Cruz is for Ryan. This guy gets hurt to the body, bro. He gets hurt to the body. He's been out of the ring for a while. He only has one win in years, and it wasn't even an impressive victory against an unimpressive opponent. That's
a massacre.
It's a massacre. Ortiz washes everyone at welterweight. I wouldn't say washes everyone at welterweight. I'd still pick Crawford. I don't know if I still pick Ennis anymore. I think I might, but
50-50. Ennis,
yeah.
Ortiz, 50-50 now. Now it's 50-50.
Now it's 50. It's funny because I was one of the first people that was actually picking Ennis when everyone was picking Ortiz to win that fight, and then everyone started to pick Ennis. Now it's kind of shifted again.
Right.
I'm not super confident in Ennis anymore, but I might still nick him like in my gut. And I'd pick Errol, Crawford, and Ennis to beat him. Everyone else, I'd probably pick Virgil. And speaking of Virgil Ortiz and Mentas Stanionis, great fight. What's your stance on it? Those are really
great fight. Give me that man from Texas, Virgil Ortiz Jr. I love Virgil Ortiz Jr. I'm nobody's fan, but I'm a supporter of Virgil Ortiz Jr. His TikToks is fire. He's a monster. He comes to fight. I love Mexican style. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, Mexican neighborhood, so I love that style of boxing. I got Virgil Ortiz, man.
I got Virgil as well, but I will say this: I see him going 12 the first time in his career. I really believe so. Stanionis, first of all, people don't even mention this. He has an extremely tight guard, one of the best guards in boxing. It's very hard you can get a punch past his guard. Second of all, he has a very good chin. He's young, he's hungry, he's in his prime, he's durable. He's going to have enough power where he's going to trade with him, but Virgil's also going to respect his power. I see it going the full 12. I see it being a barn burner. Great fight, and I see Virgil winning 8-4, maybe 9-3 in a really good matchup. That's an awesome fight, by the way. Shout out to Stanionis. He's a good guy as well. Really good matchup. I can't wait for that one. It was originally set, then it got postponed. I believe it's being set for what, April or May? Have you heard an exact date?
They did. It was
March originally.
April. It might be May now. But what do you think about? Because I know he had that surgery. Why didn't Earl the Truth Spence say, "Well, I'll fight on that date"? Kind of like how Tony Harrison said, "If Charlo's hurt, I'll fight Zoo."
Because Errol Spence doesn't want to take any massive risks or even solid risks. Errol Spence is content with fighting Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia and these semi-washed up welterweights and pretending that Crawford is what he wants next. Now, I'm not saying Errol Spence is ducking Crawford now. I will assure you he ducked him at one point. When he said he'd rather fight Sean Porter, the fact that that not everyone agreed that was a duck, let me take the easy route and fight Sean Porter. That's not how a champion speaks, man.
Yeah.
You ever catch Crawford saying that? Come on. So I definitely know he's ducked him at one point. However, now he's starting to see Crawford. He's turning 36 soon. He's getting a little older, promotional issues. Maybe it's the time to swoop in and go for that fight. But him not fighting Virgil Ortiz last minute, or not necessarily last minute, like a 2-month preparation, and If he beat Virgil, it would be an incredible win. And that fight's been talked about for a while. Just another example of Errol Spence not, going out of his way to prove himself to be great. You want to compare yourself to guys like Sugar Ray and all the greats of the past, you got to do stuff that greats would do. I know for sure that they would have definitely considered that move, but we know Errol Spence, that wasn't even on his mind.
No, my thing is, how come when Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao, Earl the True Spence said, Jeff Horn looks like food, I will fight him. But when Terrence Crawford beat Jeff Horn,
makes him look like food.
He said Terrence Crawford on the wrong side of the street. Well, wouldn't Jeff Horn be on the wrong side of the street too?
I thought all Crawford needed to do is win a belt, right? Win a belt at 147, and I'll fight you. Crawford wins a belt out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, the WBO isn't a recognized belt. That was never a thing in the PBC before Crawford. They never said the WBO. Remember the snubs they do to Crawford where they'd be like champions at welterweight, and they just show a picture of Errol and Manny or Errol and Keith. Bro, I mean, it's shameless. It's absolutely shameless. So no wonder when Crawford tells us that they're doing him wrong at the negotiations and they're screwing him over. Of course I believe him. Of course I believe him. 100%. They've done him wrong outside of negotiation. Of course, in negotiations, they're screwing with him. Crawford apparently accepted so much. He accepted the 60-40 or whatever it was, accepted the location, accepted all this. But of course, they gave him something. I forgot the contract was, but they gave him some really weird contract, like some weird negotiation tactic they used that I've never heard of. I don't remember, but there was something Crawford was complaining about when it came, I think, to the purse or to something.
Right.
Do you remember what that was? It was really odd. I don't remember exactly.
Well, he wanted transparency. And then I guess the PBC gave him transparency. But the thing is, Terrence Bud Crawford, he wanted to fight in 2022. He wanted a check in 2022, and they weren't prepared to fight in 2022. So when you think about it, because I was on record calling Terrence Bud Crawford a duck, but if you think about it, the man needed a check. He got a family to feed. I need a check.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You know that the fight's not going to happen anytime soon. So what do you want Crawford to do? Sit around and do nothing? And I was saying to myself, when the fight was not happening November 19th, the mystical date that the fight was supposed to happen. Remember, November 19th, I got sources, November 19th, right? And it never happened. I was saying to myself, Crawford's got to get in the ring with someone. Now, Ivan was not who I would have picked. However, there's a lot worse guys he could have chosen, right? He had to get a fight in this year. If he didn't fight Avanesian in December, what is he going to do? Sit out a whole year? I mean, come on. He's an aging fighter. He needs to get in the ring, at least somewhat.
Yeah.
Son New Jersey, thoughts on Zurdo and Gabe Rosado? The fact that Gabe Rosado is still fighting, I mean, not the fact that he's still fighting, but the fact that he's still being put in these type of fights is, bro, like, come on, man.
Oscar, what are you doing?
Come on, that's his comeback fight, really? That you couldn't find someone better than that, really?
Oscar wrong for that. He trying to get Zurdo back on a winning streak. That's
nasty. By sacrificing the life of Gabe Rosado, bro. Like, that's absolutely.
Yes, he's went through rocky wars, bro.
Yeah, let the guy, come on. First of all, Zurdo's way too big. Hold on. He's way too big for Gabe Rosado.
175?
Bro, Gabe Rosado was fighting at 160 a couple fights ago. We just started fighting at 160. And I was going to 175 to fight Zurdo. Oh, man.
What you think of Berlanga and Gabe? Like an introduction fight?
That'd be a good fight. If I'm Gabe, I'm taking that 100% because you could actually pull that one off. I'm not saying he would. I think Berlanga would beat him. But it's a fight. It's a winnable fight. Way, way more winnable than Zurdo Ramirez. There's nothing he can do to beat Zurdo. He's not catching him with the same shot he caught Beck the Bully with. There's nothing he can do to beat Zurdo Ramirez.
That's true. That's true. So who you want? Would you want Berlanga to go Golden Boy route or Matchroom route or PBC?
Good question. He's 168, correct?
Yeah, 168.
I'd go PBC because I think PBC has a lot of. They have a lot of good stepping stone opposition. They got Ron.
168.
They got Kyron Davis. They got the right guys he should be fighting. I would go with PBC, and I also think PBC, they know how to market guys like Berlanga very well. They know how to market young, up and coming, good talking punchers like Berlanga. I think they'd market him pretty well, and they would have a lot of options for him. I wouldn't necessarily go with Matchroom. They don't really have the strongest stable at 68. All they have is John Ryder and a couple other guys in the UK.
Canelo.
Yeah, Canelo's fighting. Yeah, they have Canelo, but we know Berlanga's not getting that fight. Imagine Canelo fought Berlanga. That would be such a bad look on him. And since Canelo got brought up, what do you think about the Canelo Ryder fight possibly happening in May? Likely happening.
Man, people know Canelo's my guy. Canelo Saul Alvarez. I thought he wasn't even going to fight in May. I thought he was taking a year off. I I don't like it, man. I don't like it. I want Canelo to clean out 168.
Yeah,
This should be a David Morrell fight. And
that'll be good.
after Benavidez, Caleb Plant, I got Benavidez.
Me too.
I don't care what Canelo fans say. I know y'all gonna say, well, he lost his belt on the scale. David Benavidez deserves that shot. He
Way more than
deserves-
John Ryder, at least. Come on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like, and I know Canelo fans aren't the only ones to do this. They get called out for it a lot, rightfully so. But I hate it when a fan says that a fighter doesn't deserve a fight for some. Oh, he doesn't deserve to fight Canelo. First of all, David Benavidez would destroy John Ryder. So how does how did Rocky Fielding, how did Avni Yildirim? You can't use that logic, man. If it's a good fight, don't make an excuse. Ask for it. The Morrell fight would be awesome. The winner of Benavidez Plant would be really cool. Well, obviously Plant rematch. I mean, honestly, if Plant beats Benavidez, I would actually be down for a rematch because
With Canelo, yeah.
improved.
Yeah.
And he was competitive with Canelo. People act like Canelo was up 8-2 or something. That was a close fight before a stoppage. Plant was not winning, but it wasn't an easy victory, an easy win for Canelo either. He had to dig deep as well, and he was getting outboxed early. So I agree. He should go to clean out 168. I would not give Demetrius Andrade a shot, though. I know that sounds
You wanna
crazy.
give Boo Boo a shot? Why
I
not?
would not give Demetrius Andrade a shot. Now, I know in a way I'd like to see him beat Demetrius Andrade, bro. But this guy Andrade, bro, this guy is ridiculous. Now, I'm not going to say he doesn't deserve a Canelo fight. He deserves it more than Rocky Fielding did. But when you can fight Benavidez, when you can fight David Morrell, guys that are actually really testing themselves and making strides and looking impressive, you fight those guys, man. Demetrius Andrade, bro. First of all, I don't even think he beat Dave Morrell or Benavidez. There are better names at 168. That's what I think it is. I just think there's better names at 168.
I wanted to ask you. I was talking to the rapper Glasses Malone, and
Yeah, he's quote tweeted some of my tweets before.
yeah, Glasses, and he told me, he said the Canelo that we know is gone. This is
I think he might be right. He might be right. I'm not saying he is, but he might be, because you got to look at this, man. Triple G was 4 years old when they fought, and Canelo fought like he was like 37 years old. Like that might have been the second worst performance of Canelo's career since the Mayweather fight. Obviously, the worst thing in the world.
Triple G, Canelo Triple G 3.
Yeah, Canelo looked very poor in that fight. Very poor. Okay. Triple G did absolutely nothing the first half of the fight. Canelo won those rounds, but he didn't put on the show. And then Triple G comes on late and takes over the second half of the fight and actually makes the scorecards relatively close, 7-5, 8-4. The judges had it. That's not what you should have done in that type of fight. He was supposed to really beat Triple G this time, and he didn't. He never had him hurt. I don't care that one punch where Triple G kind of fell back when he got hit. He wasn't hurt by that shot. He caught him from a good shot. And he was never able to hurt him, never able to rock him. Shout out to Beyond the Ring with Nonito and Rachel. Thank you for coming. I talked to Rachel Donaire the other day on a panel with In the Ring with Christine. Shout out to them. Thank you so much for talking to me as well. I mean, shoot, no one wants to fight. True. Yeah, that's Nonito talking as well. That's the real Nonito Donaire as well. Shout out to you guys.
Salute Nonito.
Salute, you got to come on one time on my channel, and also come on 2 Tone. Do you have a YouTube channel or?
Yeah, 2-Tone the Superstar. I'm building it up. I'm my content's mainly on TikTok right now, the TikTok boxing community.
Awesome. Yeah. You guys gotta check out his channel as well, and very big on Twitter as well. But yeah, Nonito Donaire is an all-time great, right? A first ballot Hall of Famer, and
100%.
I still am very interested in him, what he can do at 118 if he stays there. I would like to see the Maloney fight. Nonito versus Jason Maloney would be a fun fight. Obviously, I know it's long due, but a part of me will always want to see the Casemiro fight.
Yeah.
Always. I don't care if he has a belt or not. A part of me, because I was always picking Donaire to knock Casemiro out anyways, right? And the trash talk to build up, it'd be a very interesting turn of events, but I see Donaire knocking Casemiro out even after the Inouye loss. Yeah, much appreciated.
That'll be lit. What do you think about Inoue fighting Cool Boy Steph? Cool Boy Steph was supposed to, I believe, move up to 126 and fight his rematch with Brandon Figueroa, but I had made a tweet that said, since Inoue is moving up, and if Cool Boy Steph is packing his bag, slithering out the division, that would be a duck. And now Cool Boy said he's fighting Inoue. What do you think, man?
No, it's an awesome fight. Great fight. One of the best in boxing. And I was on a panel the other day, some people talking about this fight. A lot of people are underestimating Fulton. A lot. I'm picking Inoue, by the way. I just want to put that out there. A lot of people are sleeping on Fulton, and I think the people picking Fulton are sleeping on Inouye. I feel like there's two extremes to this. Either Inouye's destroying Fulton, he's going to knock him out, or Fulton's going to school Inouye, dominate him, outbox him with the slick style. It's in the middle, guys. This is a very tough fight for both fighters. I'm edging Inouye, but this is going to sound surprising. It's going to be sounds like a reoccurring pattern. I'm picking Inouye on points. I don't think he's going to stop Fulton. I
You
think
don't
it's
think
going to
so? I think he's going to get stopped because a lot of these websites get in a way as the #1 pound for pound fighter. This is where you prove it now.
Yeah.
This is your LeBron James comes back from 3-1 to beat the Golden State Warriors. This is where we see you as being pound for pound, and I'm glad he wants that smoke early.
Oh yeah, and speaking of that, man, like I've never been a huge LeBron fan, but when he came back against Golden State, that was so sweet, bro. That was so sweet. Because I can't stand Warrior fans. I cannot stand worst fans in sports history, arguably. Like horrendous. Not all of them, obviously, but you know the one. You know the type, the ones that are at the games and all this. Like, absolutely annoying. But anyways, back to topic. This is his time to prove that 100%. And what's interesting is if he beats Fulton, he may actually genuinely be my pound for pound #1. I have Usyk at #1 personally.
Okay.
I'm going undisputed at cruiser. Him being one belt away from going undisputed at heavyweight. I have Usyk personally. But if Inouye defeats Fulton and Usyk does not get that Tyson Fury fight, I'm probably going to move Inouye to #1, honestly. And as you know, Inouye's had a lot of hype throughout his career, understandably so. But he doesn't have that marquee win aside from Donaire, which was the first time it was a few years ago, and then recently, which it was very impressive victory. But moving up in weight to fight Stephen Fulton, going up in weight, fighting an undefeated prime champion, this is his time to really prove if he is what his fans and what many of the media have been talking about. I can't wait if it happens. I really hope it actually gets set. It's in boxing, it's a thing where if it's too good to be true, then it is. I still stick with that mindset. I don't know if this fight will actually happen, but if it does, man, I can't think of a fight that got me more excited last year.
Yeah, I'm gonna be up at 2 in the morning. I'm gonna be up at 2 in the morning watching it, man. Full call, full.
Oh yeah. Who are you picking?
I got Inouye, man. I got Inouye. I like Cool Boy's staff, but Cool Boy's staff took a lot of punishment against Brandon Figueroa.
He did.
I think Inouye. I think this is Inouye's time to show people, yes, I am pound for pound #1. This is what legacies. This is a legacy fight. This is a legacy.
100%. Do you see him stopping Fulton like most?
I think this is going to be a magician performance where he does stop Cool Boy Steph.
You know, if he stops Steph, I actually think there's a good chance it'll be from a body shot in like the 9th round. Like they're fighting on the inside, they're fighting in the pocket. He digs to the body, gets him out of there. That's possible for sure.
Yeah, that is possible.
The reason I really believe it's going to full 12 is movement doesn't necessarily give Inouye issues, but it gives him issues when it comes to getting a guy out of there. He has some issues knocking out movers when it comes to getting them out of there early on. Even earlier in his career, like against Nietes, right? He made him quit in 6, and he beat him up. But he was having not necessarily issues, but he needed some time to really batter him. Against Paul Butler was the best example where Butler did nothing offensively and fought to survive. But even if he's fighting to survive, it took him too long to get Butler out of there, in my opinion, right? Paul Butler was such a weak champion. I mean, I would pick Donaire to beat Paul Butler. I'd pick Maloney to beat Paul Butler. I'd pick Raymar Caballo to beat Paul Butler. Casemiro was going to beat Paul Butler if that fight happened. The fact he got an undisputed fight is actually kind of comical. I mean, Manny Rodriguez schooled Paul Butler a couple years ago as well. His movement gave Inouye issues when it came to stopping him. He dominated the fight, but he had issues really catching up to him. Fulton is better in every single aspect than Paul Butler, and he's a lot bigger. It's going to be a tough fight, but Inouye's going to win, in my opinion.
100%.
Joey says, let's not get down over Bud versus EJ because we're getting – well, this is hypothetically, man. I don't think we're getting – I actually think there's a good chance half these fights won't happen, unfortunately. Inouye Fulton is likely but not guaranteed. Usyk Fury, I actually think is unlikely due to Tyson Fury, and we'll discuss that in a moment. Canelo Bivol 2, I don't see happening.
Nasty. Why we want that?
I don't even want that. Definitely not at 168. I don't know why that's being talked about. It's going to happen. Have it at 175. Lomachenko Haney's likely, but nothing's been set. Ryan Tank's likely, but nothing's been set. The only fight in this list that's been set is Benavidez Plant.
Yes.
So, speaking of Usyk Fury, I want to bring that up. Who do you blame for this fight not happening yet?
If it doesn't happen, 100% Tyson Fury.
Correct. That's the only correct answer. 100%.
The Gypsy King. 100%. I'm blaming Tyson Fury.
Yeah. Without doubt. This guy has made so many excuses ahead of time He's
Right.
mentioned how, and this is years ago too, not even recently. He's mentioned how Usyk doesn't speak English, so he can't fight him or something like that, right? He mentioned how he's not a big name. Now he's calling him a middleweight, and he's saying a lot of trash talk, but he's not very excited to actually get in the ring with Alexander Usyk. And big reason for that, and shout out to my boy Steve Cunningham. I had him on the channel. Check out the interviews
Okay.
if you guys haven't already. Cool guy for sure. That style, the quick, shorter guy who has some pop in his power, that style gives Fury a lot of issues, man. Gives him a lot of issues, and
Yeah.
Usyk will 100% be the guy to capitalize on it. And I am picking Alexander Usyk to defeat Tyson Fury if they fought. I've gone back and forth on it. I like Usyk more, so I'm a little biased, but genuinely, I've really analyzed it. I got Usyk beating him. I really do.
You got Usyk beating Tyson Fury?
I got Usyk beating Tyson Fury. I do. And
Wow.
here's why I'm picking Usyk to beat Tyson Fury. When it comes to them as men and not as fighters, I trust Alexander Usyk 100%. 100%. We know he's going to show up. We know we're going to get Usyk. We're not going to get him 2 weeks. As John Jones said, I beat you after a weekend of cocaine, right? We're not going to get that with Alexander Usyk. We might get it with Tyson Fury, right?
But do you understand Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury, dominated Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder 3 times. Then against
Can I cut you off quickly?
Yeah,
I don't think he dominated him in the first fight. He won. He won like 115, 111, maybe 116, 110. The rounds he was winning, he wasn't that impressive. He nearly got knocked out cold. He hurt Wilder late, and that's when he struck gold because he realized he could hurt Wilder coming forward. I don't think he dominated Wilder the first fight. The second fight, he absolutely dominated him. Third fight, he dominated him, but let's not act like Fury didn't get dropped twice and had to really dig deep in that fight as well. And it took him 11 rounds to really knock out a wounded Wilder. That fight he should have gotten Wilder out much earlier, and he didn't. And I believe Usyk would outclass Wilder to a comfortable decision. And maybe
I got Wilder knocking Usyk.
You got Wilder. I respect that, but the reason I have Usyk defeating Deontay Wilder, man, is we know when Usyk wants to go full boxer and not get touched, he's a master at that. Now, I'm not going to say Murat Gassiev is Wilder. However, he's much more accurate than Wilder. He picks his shots better than Wilder, and he's more precise than Wilder, in my opinion, aside from the right hand. And he couldn't touch Usyk all night. He's also smaller than Wilder and has quicker hands because of that. I would pick Usyk to defeat Deontay Wilder. And the big fight that is making me so confident that Usyk defeats Tyson Fury, Otto Wallin fight. I know he got badly cut, but Otto Wallin was giving Tyson Fury so many issues. Big reason was his speed and his inside fighting. I believe Usyk's going to defeat Tyson Fury. I really do. It's going to be a decision. It's going to be a fight where Fury might come on late. He's going to use his size. He's going to lean on him. But first of all, Tyson Fury's defense does not impress me. This might sound crazy. Derek Chisora was actually having success in the third fight offensively. Yes, he got battered, but he was hitting Fury. Fury was not evading and avoiding the work. And I know a lot of people are going to say Chisora gave Usyk a tough fight, but that was like 3 years ago. Come on. That was his first real fight at heavyweight.
Man, I don't know. I like the Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. I just think he's too big for Usyk. I just think he's too big for Usyk. I think it's gonna. I don't know who could beat Tyson Fury, to be honest with you.
Xavier puts it well as well. He says Fury struggles with smaller guys that move, and that is 100% true. We've seen it with Cunningham, and I know that was a long time ago, but even more recently, a few years ago, but still worth note, we saw it against Otto Wallin. Fury is a guy who does much better against guys that come forward and fight with him. That's why he looks so good every time he beats up Derek Chisora, and might beat him up for a fourth time, knowing the way Fury been. And I think he's going to fight Wilder a fourth time after Wilder beats Andy Ruiz, which is another fight that needs to get set already, by the way, because that's a good fight. I hope it gets announced. That's a really good match.
Yeah, we need to get that. We need to get that fight set. But hot take. I do have Jared Big Baby Anderson beating Deontay Wilder right now.
Interesting. I like that. I don't know if I'd say that. However, I am very impressed in Jared Anderson, man. I'm very that performance against Jerry Forrest, man. I was like, wow. Like beginning of the fight, Forrest had like a little 2-shot combo. I'm like, oh, okay, Forrest starting off this fight strong. Then Jared Anderson got him in the corner and battered the life out of him, man. Jared Anderson is definitely, and here's a fight that's going to be really big in a few years. And it sounds like a bit of a mismatch now, but I do believe in a few years' time it will be very competitive. I don't know if you know who I'm going to say. Jared Anderson versus Richard Torres, man. That'll be a fun fight. That'll be a fun fight. That's prepare for that to be the next fight that people want to see at heavyweight in the next few years. Anderson Torres. Be prepared. And I think Anderson would beat him personally.
I think Jared Anderson is the movie. I've never seen a heavyweight just throw that many punches.
So
that
fluid,
last
so
fight,
sharp, so accurate.
yeah, he took a shot too. That last fight, he took a shot right on the chin. He
Right at the
took
beginning, yeah.
he took it well and came back and started cooking like the movie he is.
For sure. All right, New Jersey. What do you want to happen to Dillian White, man? Like, do you really want to see Dillian White, get absolutely battered and take temporary damage after the fight? I mean, Usyk will absolutely school Dillian White, especially now. Maybe a few years ago it would have been a much tougher fight, but at this stage, I mean, we saw what happened last time Dillian fought against Jermaine Franklin. Keep in mind, Jermaine Franklin got a gift against Jerry Forrest. Have you seen that fight?
No, I ain't seen that one.
7 rounds, clean cut. Jerry Forrest won that fight.
Oh man,
Clean cut. The fact that I was so confident picking Dillian White to win that fight because I knew about Jermaine Franklin. He's a good fighter, right? But he's not world level. And Dillian White went when you talk about a fighter going life and death, he went life and death with that guy. Joey Joyce. Joyce 100, and I feel bad for Joyce because he's kind of getting blue balled right now. I mean, Usyk isn't. He should be the mandatory for Usyk, but obviously in the situation. You got Wilder and Ruiz tied up. I mean, what's going to happen with Joe Joyce? Who's he? He's fighting Zhang Weili Zhang. Zheli Zhang.
I like the winner. I like Joyce getting the winner of Wilder Ruiz. I like that.
I like that too, and I don't think he beat Wilder because of his defense.
Right.
But that would be a tough fight for Wilder still. He would kill Ruiz though. Joyce would hurt Ruiz.
Yeah.
He would batter him. He'd beat him worse than AJ did, in my opinion. And shout out to Joe Joyce. I really respect Joe Joyce. He's becoming one of my favorites because this guy will mix it up with anyone. He'll get a good fight every time. He'll get a good performance every time. The Joseph Parker fight was awesome. You saw that fight, right? That was a great fight.
He's a juggernaut. Juggernaut. That's a juggernaut.
Definition of it. One of the best nicknames in boxing for sure. That fight recently got announced, Peter. Unless I'm missing something, I don't think Zhang dropped out.
Big Zhang.
Someone in the chat follow up for me if that's true. I don't think that happened. Let me see. Joey says Usyk went life and death with a washed up Chisora. He did not go life and death. He lost 3 of the first 4 rounds. He lost round 1, 2, and 4, and then he absolutely schooled him for us to fight. He had some minor issues with the size and strength early on, and once he figured him out, he dominated him. Fury will splatter Usyk. Yeah, I don't think that's happened. The same way he splattered Otto Wallin, right? The same way the same Otto Wallin that's getting.
Was that life and death? Was Otto and Tyson? Was that a life and death?
Well, I'll tell you this much: when it comes to scorecards, no. But any other fight would have been stopped from the cut, 100%. We see Joshua Franco crying after a slightly swollen eye. Tyson Fury's whole eye is ripped apart, and they don't stop it. Now, I don't have an issue with them not stopping the fight because I am actually someone that says they're boxers. They prepare that this is what their life is. This is why they get paid to fight through that situation. However, when you look at it objectively, most fights would have been stopped there. Say that was Andy Ruiz fighting Otto Wallin. Say Otto Wallin had that cut against Tyson Fury. Fight would have been stopped 100%.
That is true. That's true. That's facts.
Let's see. Happy Javier says Wilder can definitely KO Andy, but Andy has quick hands. That's a good fight, guys. That he could hurt Wilder on the inside, but I am picking Wilder to knock Andy out. Anywhere from around 5 to 7.
Me too. I definitely got Wilder's gonna catch some combos. That grill gonna get touched. But it's gonna be Andy Ruiz is tailor made for Wilder.
Another tailor made, yeah. He's tailor made. Good fight though. Shout out to Andy Ruiz as well. How did you score the Luis Ortiz fight? Because that fight was actually I only had him winning by 1 point.
I had it. What I had that one?
I had 7-5 Ortiz, but the 3 knockdowns won it for Ruiz.
Yeah, I had 7-5 too. I had 7. That was a boring fight.
Yeah, that fight
not
was
boring. But
you're right though. It had its moments, but overall it was a pretty stale fight, and it should have been better. I actually saw Luis Ortiz fight live against Charles Martin, and I'm surprised he was able to give such a good fight to Andy Ruiz. I mean, keep in mind, this guy got dropped twice by Martin, was losing the fight before catching him. I remember the crowd's reaction the first 2 times he got dropped. They're like, oh, because they all wanted him.
How old is Luis Ortiz?
You know what's funny, and this is what I tell people. His nickname's the real King Kong, right? Google how old the real King Kong is. Then you'll get Luis Ortiz's actual age. If you Google how old the real King Kong is.
That's his real age.
Bro,
see, they got him at 43 years old. Luis Ortiz, I guarantee you, is 53. These are facts. I guarantee you. 53. And he got the hair dye. He got hair dye like me. He got hair dye in his shit.
I'll
Respect
say
him.
this though, if he's 53, man, bro, imagine how good he was at 28.
Man,
Jeez. Nearly
Mom,
beating Andy Ruiz at 50. What is this, Bernard Hopkins, bro? I mean, that's impressive as hell. Shout out to Luis Ortiz for that though. I will say though, the memes of Luis Ortiz, the ones with him being, Jack Johnson and Muhammad Ali and
yeah.
Freeman, those memes will always be gold. I know they're kind of outdated now, but they'll always make me laugh. Peter says, I'd like to see Joyce fight Makhmudov from Canada. I like Makhmudov. I was a little disappointed in how he looked against Carlos Takam. However, I'd pick Joyce to win that fight. I'd like to see Joyce fight Herkovich. The heck? Why is he fighting? Why is he fighting the guy Herkovich beat? Fight Herkovich.
Let's get Herkovich Joyce.
Yeah, that's a cool fight. That's a cool fight. They actually technically never fought in the Olympics because Yoka got the win against Joyce and Herkovich. However, most people felt Joyce beat him, and everyone thought Herkovich beat him. So let's make that fight. You know, the fight that should have happened in the Olympics.
Yeah, we need to.
Joey says Joyce KO's Wilder inside 6. Man,
Wow.
Joey got some bold takes here. So hold on. Here's my question, bro. Wilder's a hype job. Why does your boy Fury get so much credit for beating him? Come on, I've always been a Team Fury guy over Wilder. There was always that rivalry. Not really. The first fight, I used to like Wilder more than after the whole AJ situation with Wilder and 50 million or whatever it was. I started to become more of a Fury guy. So I supported Fury in the second and third fight. However, we have to be objective here. The Tyson Fury fans that call Wilder a bum, a hype job, a dosser, cringiest term ever made. They call him that, but then they'll call Tyson Fury the greatest fighter since Muhammad Ali when his best wins are the Wilder wins.
Right. Come on, bro. Like when they was crowning him the best ever when he fake retired. No, you have to defend your belt. What are you talking about?
This guy's had 2 title defenses, one against a guy he already dominated, and the other against a guy who barely beat the guy he dominated.
Right. Right.
Joyce versus White. I actually made that post on Twitter after Joyce beat Parker, and trust me when I tell you, I read like 200 replies because I like reading who people think would win fights. I couldn't find one person picking Dillian White to win that fight, bro.
No.
People are and I agree. There's no way Dillian White beats Joe Joyce now. Impossible.
Possible. And Chisora, he's just collecting checks at this point.
I'm not mad at it, right? I'm not mad at it. But at the same time, I'm mad at Tyson Fury, bro. Are you serious? You're fighting. You know how many guys I would have preferred? I would have preferred an Otto Wallin rematch to a third Derek Chisora fight. 100%. 100%.
Facts. What do you think about the Keyshawn Davis possibly fighting a Kid Austin, Floyd Schofield?
No, I need to watch more footage of Schofield because he looked pretty good from what I've seen. However, I need more footage to really analyze it. However, I will say this. It's not going to happen, and here's why I'm so confident, because this is like the 4th or 5th young fighter that Keyshawn Davis has had beef with already, bro. You know how many young fighters it's like Keyshawn Davis? And that's what you got to do. You got to keep your name out there, and you got to let them know who you are, right? But I don't see the fight happening anytime soon. I actually really like Keyshawn Davis. I think he's one of the best prospects in boxing, genuinely. And you could make a case he should have. Did you see his Olympic gold medal match against Andy Cruz or no?
Right, I saw that one. Yeah.
You could make a case he won that fight. And a lot of people are like, no, he got schooled. I'm like, he didn't get schooled. Cruz barely outlanded him. Did he even outland him? I'm not even sure he outlanded him.
Right. He's different. I like Keyshawn Davis. I love his confidence. I just don't like, even though I just don't like that him and Shakur are friends. I just don't like friends in sports.
Yeah, I prefer mutual respect to friends when it comes to fighters. Yes. I respect this guy, right? But I'm still gonna knock him out. I'm still gonna fight him.
Right. They not even saying, "Oh, we're not gonna fight each other." What do you mean? We want to see it.
And that's why I respect Crawford, man, because he put friendship aside of Tom Porter and still gave us a good fight. So
yes,
more fighters need to. And keep in mind, I know you're friends and all, but you're actually benefiting your friend by giving him a big payday by fighting you.
100%.
You're both making money together, man. I mean, that's. Yeah, all you got to do is box each other for 12 rounds. You guys have sparred so many times, bro. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, come on now. It's not like you guys are brothers. It's completely different. But you know, a fight I want to see more. What future fight intrigues me a lot more? Keyshawn and Frank Martin.
Oh yeah,
I like that one. I actually think right now Frank would beat him. I think give it 2 years, I'd pick Keyshawn.
Yeah, Frank could beat him right now. A hot take. I do have Rolly beating Frank Martin if they do fight.
Wow, that's a good one. You know, I like these hot takes. I disagree, but I like the hot take for sure. That's a bold one. That's a really bold one. And it's actually interesting because when you think about it, it's not as bold as you say because Rolly was beating Tank.
Right.
He's not a bad fighter. His boxing ability Yes, his natural fundamentals are not great, but he's physically strong, he has brute strength, and he has power. Can you explain to me how you see that fight playing out?
I see Rolly stopping him. I don't
Stopping him?
see it. I don't see it going the distance. I got a firefight early based off the buildup because I know Rolly's going to get in Frank's head during the buildup of the fight, and I think Frank Martin's going to be emotional, and I think he's going to get knocked out.
Interesting. I don't see Frank though being the type of guy to really get in his own head. You think Frank Martin could be broken prior to a fight? Not
Yes,
broken, but like you know what I mean, like phased.
Rolly broke Tank. Rolly broke Tank. I think Rolly. Um, who do you think real? Granted, I know Gervonta Tank Davis is a star at
Mhm.
the gate. He's a star. People want to go see that main attraction because you're going to see celebrities. You're going to see a knockout.
Yeah.
But I think Rolly sold that fight for pay-per-view. I think he got the
Yeah.
casuals hyped.
Rolly did a very good job getting people interested in that fight, and shout out to him for doing so. And I was watching a really well edited video on YouTube where they said the worst trash talk moments in boxing and UFC. And well, remember when they were originally supposed to fight, and they were outside, and Rolly was wearing like the heavy like fur coat.
Sure,
He's like,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like I'm gonna not like he was like so awkward. That was so funny, but it's
He
funny
was
when the
scared
fight.
right there. He
What
was scared.
happened?
He was scared right there.
He was petrified. But it's funny because when they rescheduled it, Rolly said to himself, "You know what? It's like he took a shot of caffeine or something, or a shot of adrenaline. His trash talk leveled up when the fight got rescheduled. And shout out to him. He
Yeah.
didn't win the fight, but he gave a good effort. And I actually think people disrespect how good he did in that fight. Any person that says Tank was. I understand if you say Tank was analyzing him. I disagree with it, but he partially was. But the people that say he was playing with his food, you're so wrong, bro.
No.
If Tank was playing with his food, he would have done what he did for 1 second. Had his hands behind his back, tons. That's not what he was doing, bro. That's not what he was doing at all.
He
Personally, though, I think Frank beats him. I think he would probably stop him in the later, mid to later rounds, like 8 to 10, where first 2 to 3 rounds will be pretty competitive, but then Frank would start to adjust. He'd start to push him back, get him on the ropes. I really like Frank Martin. Really impressed in the kid. I knew he beat Rivera, but I did not think he beat him 12-0.
right. Do you think that's a co-main or a main?
Main if it's not pay-per-view, co-main if it's pay-per-view. I
Okay.
see it being a pay-per-view fight. I can't really see Rolly fighting on regular TV anymore, though. Like, that's how well he did to sell the Tank fight. I see him
Right.
being co-main events for pay-per-views from now on. There's a few fighters that they've done that with, right? Like, Leo Santa Cruz was being put on pay-per-view events just off of his name and just off of the fact he's done it so many times. There's a few fighters where Caleb Plant's another guy. I don't see that guy fighting on regular TV anymore. He's not being the main event. He's the co-main event for a pay-per-view. I think Roy Romero's turned himself into a guy that's always on pay-per-view fight, on the pay-per-view cards.
Dang, that makes sense. Kind of like Isaac Pitbull Cruz.
Yeah, Pitbull Cruz. See, there's a few key fighters that they make sure to only put on pay-per-view cards. I don't understand what their method is and what their reasoning is for doing so, but it's a pattern 100%. Where there's a few fighters like Leo, like Isaac Cruz, like Caleb Plant, Tank. Even bro, like let's be honest, a lot of Tank's fights should not be on pay-per-view, right? Because
Hector
remember him
Garcia fight.
when they rescheduled the Cruz when they canceled the Rolly fight and made him fight Isaac Cruz. Keep in mind, no one knew who Isaac Cruz was. That fight should not have been on pay-per-view, but
Ever.
his name is what's getting these fights on pay-per-view.
Right. I think it's a forced pay-per-view star.
Yeah. Like he's a name. People in my school know who Tank Davis is. Tank Davis is very well known. However, these fights are not pay-per-view fights. Now, him Ryan, that's a pay-per-view fight.
Yes,
Him
100%.
versus Devin, that's a pay-per-view fight. Remember when people were saying he beat Josh Taylor? Those are good times.
Oh yeah.
I never agreed with that, by the way. Pitbull knocks Rolly out.
I
I
agree.
agree. I agree. I agree. We might make fun of Pitbull here and there, but if you're gonna trade with Pitbull, you're probably gonna lose.
Yeah, that style. Rolly going to sleep that fight respectfully.
Most definitely. Now I got a question. These fights, these are 3 best fights in boxing, in my opinion. Rank these 3 fights for me from fight you want to see the least and fight you want to see the most out of these 3.
Okay.
Crawford Spence, Usyk Fury, Better BF Bivol.
Damn.
3 incredible undisputed fights.
The most I want to see Crawford Spence. That's the most.
I agree. I still agree. It's a part of me, like, I just can't fully let that fight go, right? I need to see it happen. It just has to happen. It has
Right.
to happen.
I think it will happen because it's going to be the Mayweather Pacquiao effect where
It's too late.
this is our last payday.
Yeah.
A multi-million-dollar payday. This is going to be our last one. Crawford Spence, Usyk Fury, then Bivol Beterbiev.
I have the same list.
Yeah.
However, Usyk Fury is starting to climb that, man, and Beterbiev Bivol too. The gap is narrowing, and it's getting more disputed if that's the best fight in boxing, Spence and Crawford.
Right.
Now, who are you? Are you Team Spence or Spence Crawford or Team Crawford?
Well,
I know you've kind of said how you've kind of gone back and forth a little bit.
yeah, I'm nobody's fan, so I'm not team any of those
Like
guys.
who you're picking, I should say.
But who I've picked, I believe that Earl the True Spence is a matchup nightmare for Terrence Crawford because he's big, his work rate.
That's what I was gonna say. I think the main thing that gives Crawford issues more than anything, not his power, not his size, maybe his size a little bit, right? But the main thing would be his work rate for sure. Because Crawford's a slow starter too. I have a bad feeling, and I don't think this would happen, but there's a chance that this would happen. Because I'm actually a Crawford fan. I'm not like a blind Crawford fan. I'm not a blind fan for any fighter. But as a guy that likes Crawford, I'd say I have a concern that Spence wins the first 4 or 5 rounds. Crawford starts to adjust, starts to warm up, but he's just too little too late and he loses the decision. People haven't really thought about that possibly happening.
Right. And I think it's going to be, I agree with you, a war of attrition because when Crawford starts having that success, Spence is still going to be there.
Yeah. Like Crawford will take over, but he won't really take over. Like Spence will still be in the fight. It won't be like a mean machine or some of other Crawford's fights where he starts to adjust. He's gonna be winning these rounds, but he's not gonna be battering Errol. He's not gonna. I mean, maybe, but I don't see. I see it being a close decision for Crawford personally. Do you think he'd stop Crawford? I don't think that would happen.
Nah, I don't think he'll. Even though they say Crawford's chinny, I don't know, but like, did you see the cheating fight with Margarito and Cotto with the breaks?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it kind of plays out like that. How Cotto was outboxing Margarito, but Margarito just kept coming. Pause. He just kept coming.
You think it could be that type of fight though? Because I think Crawford has the power to keep Errol off him if he starts landing. I really do. I think Crawford. You can make a case. I don't think he has the thudding power of Errol, but I do believe he has better one punch power than Errol Spence. I really do. Sean Porter's even said this. He says Errol has more of like I forgot. I think he said Errol's more like a hammer and Bud's more like a whip. He used like an expression like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was on his podcast. Shout out to that podcast. I actually do enjoy watching it on occasion. And yeah, I feel first of all, what's actually really interesting is Crawford's knockout ratio is almost as good as Errol's now, which is funny because a few years ago it was nowhere near as close. But Crawford's knocking everyone out, and Errol's going the full 12 of everyone. And even when he stopped Ugas, that was because of the eye. And people actually don't mention that. I know Errol was winning that fight, and everyone talks about Ugas hurt Errol, but Ugas was overall giving Errol a much tougher fight than people act.
He was
letting a lot of nice shots in that fight.
That's why we've never seen the best of Earl Spence. There's always been something. Like now we got the second car crash.
Yeah, the eye, the first car crash.
I just want the regular Earl Spence. Like just regular.
That's why the fight has to happen already, man. That's why Crawford's aging. Spence is an accident waiting to happen. No pun intended. There's a lot of
Damn.
You know it's funny, I didn't plan that at all. And once I said it, I knew I had to address the terminology.
Damn. Oh.
No pun intended, right? But
yeah, we've never seen the best of Earl the True Spence. We've never seen it.
I would say his best performance though might actually have been the Ugas performance.
You think so? I like
the Brook one was good too.
I like Kell Brook because
Kell Brook is
diversity.
Kell Brook was such a good fighter. Even the Kell Brook that lost to Triple G would have defeated Ugas, would have defeated Sean.
Yes.
Because Kell at 160, when that one night against Triple G, that man was like mystical, bro. Like that Triple G Brook fight was one of the most underrated fights in recent years. That was such a good fight, man.
That was
great fight, I'd even say.
Did you see Kell Brook allegedly take a line? A video? You didn't see that video?
I didn't, but I believe it though.
Kell
Brook's had a lot of rumors with all different with kind of like similar auras to them, all the rumors to them. Like they all kind of connect, him taking a line, him being on the other team, him being on the other side.
Right.
They all kind of connect a little bit. And honestly, I feel like there's no smoke without fire, right? So there wouldn't be some capacity of shenanigans, I should say, with Kell Brook. And now you got Eubank Jr. now being, called out for that as well. I don't know what's going on with these fighters in the United Kingdom, man. It's odd. That's why it's better over here in America. I don't know if they're putting something in their food or what, but
I want to ask you a YouTube boxing question.
Mhm.
Do you think, I don't know if you're educated or you probably are, is Jake Paul ducking Salt Poppy?
I've heard about that guy. That's I don't really know much about him, but we'll just say for the fun, yeah, Jake does not want that work, man. He'd rather fight washed up UFC fighters. And I'm actually, is it weird that I'm actually a little excited for the Tommy Fury fight? And it's the kid in me. I'm 17, I'm not an adult yet, but a lot of people really hate on YouTube boxing, and there's elements of it I genuinely do dislike. These fighters thinking that they're great boxers because they're beating each other.
Right.
However, these fights are intriguing, man. Like, do you know all the YouTube boxers? You like KSI and
Right.
Kid and all of them? Like these matchups, when you make them fight each other, like KSI versus Dylan Dennis was so fun until Dylan Dennis obviously pulled out, of course.
Right.
Like these fights, they're fun to talk about. Jake Paul versus KSI would be a spectacle. I'd love to watch that. I know I sound immature for saying that, but it's the truth. I like to see it.
Yeah, they taking it serious, so it is intriguing because most likely you're gonna get a knockout. And watch Salt Poppy is like
he's actually good, yeah.
Like a mid-grade or Kroger Manny Pacquiao. I like him.
Yeah, I would like to see that fight. I actually said the other day on Twitter, just for fun, Salt Poppy versus Salt Bay, loser leaves the internet. I barely even know who Salt Bay is. I just know he cooks, right? So it'd be funny to see a little chef get knocked out. That'd be pretty funny to watch. He'd leave the internet after that. I was gonna say something, but it's escaping me right now. But yeah, these fights they're fun fights, and one thing I actually respect is, unlike talking on the internet and diss tracks and all this other stupid stuff, at least they're fighting each other.
Right.
At least they're fighting. I mean, you can't hate on people disliking each other solving it by fighting each other. That's the only true way of solving a dispute. Because anytime and any person that's ever fought of any capacity, either a real fight or sparring or anything, you dislike someone, you box them. Once you're done, you're best friends or you're good friends with them.
Right.
A part of you, because you're like, man, I just went through that, and he went through that with me. Pause again. He went through that experience with. He went through that experience with me, so I have some respect for him because he took the shots I took. He got hurt like I got hurt, but we kept going. Goodness, I can't finish this conversation. Anyways, this sounds too all right. Anyhow, though, when you fight someone, you get mutual respect for them, and you can ask any person if you're watching this and you've never boxed and there's somebody that's like, I'm not going to say start a fight with them, but if you ever did get into a fight with them, it's almost guaranteed you would like each other more as friends and you respect that guy much more after.
Right, because we men, we hunters. We also this weekend, Elisa Baumgardner is fighting for undisputed. What you think?
I got her winning. I think her and I don't keep up with female boxing the way many do, and that is a flaw of mine that I need to work on. However, when it comes to what I know, right, what I've seen, I do believe that whenever Meyer and Baumgardner fight someone that isn't Meyer or Baumgardner, they dominate. They win every round. They cook them. And I don't even know much about the girls she's fighting, but I just know it's going to be like a 10-round to 0, 9-round to 1 type of win. And her versus Meyer rematch, that's actually one of the few fights in female boxing that actually has me intrigued.
Right, and another hot take.
Goodness, my
if Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall fight 3-minute rounds, I have Savannah beating her.
Interesting. I've never actually heard that argument, but apparently, and I actually didn't watch the entire fight. Is it true that Marshall was actually trying to come on in the later rounds, or is that false?
Yeah, she was.
So you have true logic behind that statement. It's definitely possible because data backs that being a possibility. Interesting. But I do want to say something, and this is a bold take and I actually get some flack for this. I actually prefer 10 2-minute rounds in female boxing, and here's why. I don't think these girls are going to really start knocking each other out if the fights are longer, and the fights will be much slower paced if they're 12 3-minute rounds. If you're not going to get a knockout, it might as well be 20 minutes, and it might as well be entertaining. One thing that makes female boxing unique to male boxing is every female fight, it's nonstop slugging, and that gives it its own identity. It becomes 12 3-minute rounds. It's going to start becoming like regular boxing. They're going to start throwing the jab nonstop. It's going to be moving, adjusting. Tank Davis analytics, right? Trying to figure out Rolly Romero while not throwing any punches, getting out and on your way to losing a decision and timing the right shot and getting him out of there. It would lose its aura. And I think one thing that makes female boxing entertaining for many people is that it's nonstop punching. Yes, no knockouts really happen, but at least you know you're gonna get a slugfest.
You're right. Damn, you're right. I didn't even think of it like that.
Yeah, it's a point that people don't bring up because they say, oh, it becomes 12 3-minute rounds, these girls are gonna start knocking each other out. I'm not sure about that, man. I'm really not. Because these girls are hitting each other for everything they have in these 20 minutes, and let's not act like 20 minutes is nothing. They're hitting each other with everything, and they're not stopping each other or dropping each other. What makes you think making the fight longer and them throwing less punches as a result would change that?
Right. You're gonna get two fighters gassed out in the 11th round with
In a less entertaining fight.
right. With just slug. Yeah, you're right. It's gonna be dang, you're right. The 2-minute rounds, it does nonstop action at high pace. You're right.
Yeah. And these girls hit each other with everything when that happens, and they rarely get KOs. So all the data backs at 12-3, unless a girl tires out. Like I could see Clarissa maybe stopping someone in the later rounds because she's a girl that's hurt. She hurts her opponents most of the time, right?
Yes.
But unless a girl gasses out, I can't see any. And they're not gonna gas out because they're throwing a lot less punches. They're gonna throw a lot less punches. They're gonna fight much more cautiously, and they're gonna pace themselves much better. It's not gonna result in more knockouts. I'm very confident in that.
I agree. 100% agree.
Well, man, we've been on for an hour and a half, man. I've really enjoyed having you on. Like, genuinely, we had really good discussions, and I would definitely love to have you on one time down the line. I'm not sure when, but whenever I do have another collab, I'll definitely hit you up, and hopefully we can do this again, man.
No doubt, man. You got to come on my show too.
I would love to. I would love to. Yeah, just let me know whenever.
All right, man. Two-Tone Superstar Podcast. Salute everybody. Salute my man Max. Salute everybody in the chat.
Before you go, tell them where they can find you on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok, all that.
Yeah, follow me at Superstar on all social media platforms. I'm trying to build my YouTube up, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on TikTok. We cooking over there, enjoying the conversation on Twitter. Max he's a young king out here. He's young. He's knowledgeable. He's a problem in these streets. If you ever come to Arizona, Max,
I'd love to. I've been to Utah once. I didn't go to Arizona, but I love that area. I love the dry air. I'm in Florida, so it's the complete opposite over here. And when I went to that area, the mountains and the dry air, it's a different world there, and it's awesome. So whenever I'm there, yeah, I'll hit you up for sure, man.
Yeah, hit me up, bro, and I appreciate you having me on, brother.
Of course, man. Have a good one. I'll talk to you soon for sure.
I 100.
Absolutely.